Welcome to this explainer. Okay, we are going to jump right in today. We're tracing the fascinating and honestly, kind of terrifying history of how we all lost our personal privacy without even noticing. And to really grasp this, we're going to use a famous metaphor to guide us. So you probably know the old adage, right? If you drop a frog into a pot of boiling water, it panics and jumps right out. But if you put that same frog in tepid water and just slowly turn up the heat, well, the frog just adjusts. It gets comfortable, gets sleepy, and sits there right up until it's completely cooked. This is a brilliant way to picture our own journey with digital privacy. We absolutely didn't hand it all over overnight. The temperature was raised degree by degree. So, we are going to track this rising temperature chronologically, starting way back in the 1970s with early government surveillance, hitting 1994 with the invention of web cookies, jumping to 2001 with the Patriot Act, moving into the 2000s for surveillance capitalism, and finally arriving at 2018 with Cambridge Analytica. Let's start with Section 1, the Cold Water, or early surveillance. Right, so during the post-Watergate era, the Church Committee investigated U.S. government surveillance. And in 1975, they dropped some absolute bombshells, revealing programs like Project Shamrock and Project Minaret. Basically, the government was secretly and illegally copying overseas telegrams and spying on civil rights leaders, Vietnam War protesters, and even politicians. Actually, get this, they were even spying on Senator Frank Church himself, the literal guy leading the committee. It was just a stunning revelation of unconstitutional surveillance targeting everyday citizens. Well, because the public was dropped directly into this hot water of government overreach, they reacted instantly. This early shock led Congress to pass the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, or FISA, in 1978. This established secret courts to approve surveillance, acting as a direct attempt to put legal boundaries on agencies like the NSA. So for a brief moment, society actually managed to turn the dial down and keep that water from getting too warm. Moving on to simmering and the birth of cookies. So it turns out the web cookie was originally just this totally innocent, really helpful convenience. Invented by a Netscape employee back in 1994, it was simply a tiny packet of data stored on your computer. Its whole job was just so a website could remember your login details or, keep items in your virtual shopping cart. It was literally designed just to make your life easier online. But then the early 2000s approached, and the advertising industry realized they could mutate this exact technology. Enter third-party cookies. So instead of just the website you deliberately visited remembering you, invisible third parties could now slap a cookie onto your browser and quietly track your behavior from site to site to site. The water temperature was definitely rising here. But because we were so distracted by the shiny new convenience of the early web, we really didn't feel the heat. Which brings us to Section 3, turning up the heat, where security takes priority over privacy. Okay, so picture this. Just months before 9/11, lawmakers were actually in the middle of debating strict online privacy regulations. But almost overnight, that entire conversation vanished. The government's policy guidelines instantly flip-flopped from a need-to-know basis to a need-to-share basis. Suddenly, in the name of national security, protecting your personal privacy was viewed as this dangerous obstacle. And this urgency led to the hastily passed Patriot Act. It introduced incredibly powerful tools, like national security letters. These allowed FBI agents to just demand your personal banking, credit, and internet records, completely skipping the need for a judge's approval. It also legalized what they called sneak and peek searches. This was a fundamental shift for the Fourth Amendment, allowing agents to secretly search your home or office while you were away and not even tell you about it until much, much later. Now, to truly grasp the massive scale of this unseen data extraction, just consider this staggering number, 143,074. That is the exact number of national security letters issued by the FBI in just a tiny 3-year window between 2003 and 2005. But here's where it gets really crazy. Out of those 143,074 letters, the FBI made 53 criminal referrals. And out of those, exactly 0, literally none, yielded terrorism convictions. Most ended up being for routine fraud or immigration issues. We essentially gave up an absolute ocean of privacy, and the terror prevention results were practically 0. During this really frantic era, government intelligence agencies quickly realized they just couldn't analyze all this data fast enough on their own. As former CIA Director Michael Hayden pointed out, they essentially militarized the World Wide Web. Agencies went on these highly secretive, heavily funded shopping expeditions out to Silicon Valley. This forged public-private partnerships that permanently blurred the lines between national security and corporate data mining. And that leads us to Section 4, the rolling boil, also known as surveillance capitalism. Scholar Shoshana Zuboff coined the absolute perfect term for this new era, surveillance capitalism. See, tech companies realized that our data exhaust, every click, every search query, every typo, every physical movement with our smartphones, wasn't just digital garbage. It could be harvested and translated into this massive, highly profitable behavioral surplus. So the absolutely crucial thing to understand here is that these companies aren't simply selling digital billboard space anymore. Step 1, they extract your human experience. Step 2, they feed it into advanced machine intelligence. And step 3, they manufacture and sell prediction products to advertisers. They are literally selling the ability to predict what you are going to do or buy next. They turned our very lives into the raw material. And they made very sure we couldn't easily hop out of this pot. They deployed extraction tools that honestly sound like they belong in a sci-fi horror movie. We're talking invisible web bugs that monitor the pixels on a page, and zombie cookies, which are special trackers engineered by ad firms that instantly respawn and rebuild your profile even if you went through all the trouble of clearing your browser cookies. You just couldn't kill them. Now for Section 5, the pot boils over, where we finally see the fallout. 87 million. That massive number represents the 87 million Facebook users whose intimate, personal data was secretly exposed, harvested, and weaponized without their direct consent. You've probably remembered this as the Cambridge Analytica scandal. Basically, through what looked like a completely harmless personality quiz app, a political analytics firm gathered incredibly deep psychological profiles, and not just on the people who took the quiz, but on millions of their friends, too. They then used this data to precisely target voters across multiple major political campaigns, from the Trump campaign and Ted Cruz in the US to the Leave.eu Brexit campaign over in the UK. The public was totally unaware of this deep psychological targeting until whistleblowers finally spoke up, which ultimately sparked that massive delete Facebook movement. Now, the fallout definitely looked severe on paper. Massive fines were handed out, including a record-breaking $5 billion penalty from the FTC and a $725 million class action settlement from Meta. But here is the harsh reality. These fines were essentially just the cost of doing business for them. The fundamental architecture of data harvesting, that core engine of surveillance capitalism, remained perfectly intact. Because the temperature of the water increased so incredibly slowly over the decades, from early government telegram copying all the way to modern smartphone tracking, we've fallen into what Shoshana Zuboff calls psychic numbing. We've simply accepted this constant, invisible surveillance as the unavoidable cost of living in a digital world. We are the frog, and we've accepted the boiling water as our natural habitat. Today, tech giants are promising to phase out the third-party cookie, but they're already replacing it with new, even harder-to-delete methods that track the unique setup of your specific device. So the ultimate question I want to leave you with is this. Now that we finally truly know the water is boiling, will we demand the right to reclaim our digital future, or are we already cooked? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I will catch you in the next one.